Welcome back to this episode of the Law of Relevancy podcast. Today, I've got a very special guest from a very important and innovative nonprofit located in Clearwater, Florida, right nearby Tampa. James Poulter, very nice to have you on the show.
Hi, Gordis. Thanks for having me.
So this organization is centered around golf and all of the things that golf brings to our lives.
Yeah, and it's a great sport. It's one of those things that you can continue to be involved and around with forever.
You know, I have to admit, and I apologize, I've driven past the golf course over there probably 300 times in the last 20 years, and I've always just thought it was a golf course.
Oh, I get that. I mean, that's one of our biggest challenges. You know, it's a very well-known golf course in Pinellas County, but not many people know our real mission. Not many people know that we actually have a public school there on campus.
And it's not just a golf school or like some kind of Montessori school. I mean, it is an actual school there with several grades.
Yep, 100%. So our two biggest partners are the City of Clearwater. All the land is provided by the City of Clearwater, and we operate that in partnership with them, along with another partner of ours, the Pinellas County School System. So, you know, there's up to 90 kids that go to school there every day. It's a partnership school. So we have elementary and middle school. So that's 4th through 8th grade, up to 18 kids in a class with a teacher and a teacher's aide. So there's a lot more help and a lot more attention for the kids.
That's amazing. Of course, we're talking about the Chichi Rodriguez Youth Foundation.
Yep.
And you guys have some really cool videos I've seen on your social media and on your website. And it looks like the involvement you have from the golf community and the regular community coming together, and you're helping these kids, because these aren't just regular kids. These are kids that might be at risk, right?
Yeah, so the kids that go to school there, they're performing below grade level. They're academically at risk, and they're identified in 3rd grade that they're going to fail high school. So our mission is to get their grades back up, back on track, so they can go back to high school and continue to go on learning and continue their education. Graduate high school, maybe go on to college, but just at the end of the day, be, you know, upstanding citizens within the community.
What qualifies someone, besides being identified that they might not pass high school, as being a good candidate for this organization?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously academically background, what their grades are like, but, you know, it's not a behavioral school. It's not an issue for kids that are, you know, having a hard time with school. It's really just an environment that's very nurturing for them to help them get back on track, give them a little attention, get them to school, get them learning, get them in the right frame of mind to continue the learning.
Well, you know, Chichi Rodriguez was a huge personality in the game of golf, especially in the 80s.
Yeah.
And he is giving back through putting his name on this organization. How did the whole organization get started?
Sure. He's a great man. So he was in town playing in the JCPenney Classic, which was down at Bayou Bardmore back in the day. And he met a couple local people. And over the years, they decided to get together and start the foundation.
But not just any local person.
No, one of the guys was pretty popular, pretty instrumental in the Tampa Bay area. So he met Bob James, who was the founder of Raymond James Financial, and Bill Hayes, who was a local educator. And the three of them got together and started the foundation. Originally, actually, in downtown Clearwater on Court Street. And it was designed more of an after-school program to help the kids stay off the streets and stay active. We've morphed into that partnership with the school system, kind of identified that helping the kids earlier in life is a better way to help them get back on track.
I love that idea, because as our brains are forming, we're developing habits or routines or whatnot, and just looking through some of the curriculum and the things that you're doing with the kids, I can only imagine like great things come out of it.
It is. It's really neat to see, and they stay with us too. I mean, they come back to us. They stay engaged. We offer scholarships. We have higher learning scholarships that they can apply for. If they're looking for a job and there's an opening within the foundation, we try and hire internally for different roles within the organization as well.
And within the foundation, that might mean there's a superintendent, like you're a greenskeeper.
Sure.
You could be a caddy. You could be, you know.
We've definitely had people in the work in the pro shop, you know, help run the pro shop, you know, out on the golf course, maintaining the golf course, just getting involved within the foundation. We've even had people that have gone through and started a career outside of Chi-Chi's, but then still support by being involved in committees and being on fundraising committees and help tell the story of the foundation.
Well, I think
So
that's
good
one of the
success stories.
things that's most eye-opening for me, and I feel so ignorant for not knowing all of this information. I'm so glad that you're coming in and I got to do the research on what y'all are doing over there, because I've always driven past it and gone, oh, that's a golf course. And, you know, a couple lights that way, there's a driving range. And,
Sure.
you know, and you know, I might think about playing that golf course if, you know, if it's convenient. But there's so much more that you're doing there. And it's interesting to hear that the foundation actually runs the golf course. It's actually the golf course is actually under the foundation itself.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's one entity. It's the Chichi Rodriguez Youth Foundation. We are a 501c3. So there are tax-deductible donations available for people if they're looking to support the foundation that way as well. But all the proceeds from the golf club and the driving range, the businesses that we operate, go back to the foundation. So about 25 cents of every dollar goes back to the foundation to help support the kids' programs that we run there on campus.
I love that. I was actually speaking to someone the other day about public and private partnerships and how you can work, you know, sometimes nonprofits can work on ways where they can monetize and offer things out to the private you know, place to raise money and to support the foundation.
Yeah.
But not just through the golf course proceeds and those types of things that raise money, more a regular style, so to speak. You also do fundraisers and have development activities to raise money for the kids.
We do. We have a development budget. It's about $1 million a year that we look to raise for the foundation. We do 3 major special events a year. We do 2 golf tournaments and 1 non-golf event. And so we have some great partners with that. For instance, we just finished our Pro-Am that we do in March, and that's tied around the Valspar Championship. And so that's a big week for us because the Valspar Championship's in town, and as a nonprofit that's in the golf industry, it's something that we're pretty well connected with, and we enjoy it, and the kids have a great opportunity out there. We did a couple clinics this past tournament. The kids get to be standard bearers on a Thursday, and you know, we're out there volunteering our time to help the event as well. So that's a big one for us. Yeah.
You know, the game of golf has so many lessons. I actually believe I came across something that Chichi Rodriguez said, where he said that anybody who's played the game of golf knows it's not easy, right? It's full of failure. I mean, you can fail numerous times throughout any round of golf. And he said that there's so much more to learn through those failures than there are through the successes. Sure. And I would imagine that you guys are putting that to use all the time.
Yeah, golf's a great vehicle to teach life skills. So one of our partners is the First Tee. And so we're the First Tee of Clearwater. And the First Tee is a worldwide organization that teaches golf and life skills to kids. It's actually under the umbrella of the PGA Tour now. And there's different chapters all throughout the world. And so we're the First Tee of Clearwater, which really kind of services North Pinellas County, so from Tarpon Springs down to Largo. And what the First Tee does, it creates curriculum that as you're teaching the game of golf, you can also teach the kids life skills. So you can talk about honesty, integrity, respect, sportsmanship. So whilst you're learning the game and learning how to hit the ball, you can also have some really good life skills in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Augusta, which is where I'm from, golf is a huge part of that community.
Sure.
You know, every single year we host the Masters, and I was a youth who was every single summer. My mom was a volunteer and an organizer of a group called the Augusta Area Junior Golf Association, and so even as a very young kid, we were learning the rules of the game, when to be quiet, where to stand, how to treat others with respect, make sure you're not moving while someone else is trying to hit the ball. There's all kinds of really great things that we learn. And, of course, how to deal with adversity,
sure,
which happens all the time, especially when I play the game. And I love what the First Tee is doing because it's very similar to that program. Of course, it's nationwide. It's famously effective for working with kids and introducing them to this game that historically is seen as not a very diverse game.
Yep, 100%. It's definitely not very diverse. It's not very easy to get into. It's an expensive sport typically. So, breaking down those barriers are important for sure.
Well, how did you get involved with this association? Because you are a CEO And a lot of times schools have a principal, but you're a CEO. What's the difference?
Well, so my role within the organization is basically to strategically manage the foundation, work with our board of directors and our donors to ensure that the foundation is implementing the programming that we should be. And so I actually got into the foundation by volunteering. I moved over from England in 2003, and while I was waiting for my work permit, I got to volunteer with the program because there was a good trade-off. I got to help out the kids a little bit with their homework and then got to go play golf while I was waiting for my work permit, so it worked out for me. And then got my first job as a summer camp coach in the summer of 2004, and then worked my way up from there. So job in the pro shop, ran the pro shop, became the general manager of the golf club and then the CEO for the foundation. And I took over as, COO for the foundation for over 10 years and then took over as CEO January 1st, 2020, right before COVID hit. So
oh my goodness.
good timing on my part with that. But that's
well, at least your sport is done outside.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, after, first few weeks there where we really were learning what we could and couldn't do, the golf industry in general has definitely, benefited from the pandemic in a way that it's brought more people back to the game and got more people outside and out on the golf course. So we'll take that.
Yeah, for sure. How's your handicap these days?
It's gone the other way. When I was just running the pro shop, that was fun. I think I got down to, I think a 5 was probably my lowest handicap.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, but it's over 10 right now. So, but that's okay. I don't get to play as much as I used to.
That means you're busy doing the work of the organization.
Busy doing work for the foundation, and then obviously, I'm excited. I got 2 young kids too, so I obviously want to spend time with those guys.
Are they playing much golf?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do definitely. They do the summer camp programs at the foundation, at our driving range, and they're a little bit younger still, so they probably enjoy the golf cart rides more and rolling down the hills more than actually playing golf. But getting them out on the golf course.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of the game is the roll down the hill. Yeah,
definitely.
Back when we were doing it, we did it in metal golf cleats.
Okay,
so that could get a little dicey.
Get a little dicey. You've got somebody next to you.
Friends. Yeah. Exactly. And so, what are the things that you're looking to do with the organization? Obviously, we're here today, like basically helping to clear up some of the confusion around like how the organization is organized and the important role you're playing in the community. What else are you doing to further the mission of the organization?
Yeah, great. Telling the story. I think that's an important part. Looking at our brand, looking at where we sit within the community. And we have a good reputation, but still there's a lot of people out there that just drive by the road and think that we're just a golf club or a driving range. So really telling that story, finding success stories, continue to measure the kids that are coming through the program. I think one of our proudest statistics is our graduation rate is in line with the district. So
that's amazing.
When you think about that, we're taking the bottom 25% of kids academically and helping them turn it around, and so they can go back into high school and graduate high school. That's very measurable. From a donor perspective, that's really important that donors want to know that the funds that they give and support are actually making a difference, which they are.
Well, that is very measurable. And I also saw that the nonprofit rating systems also showed that you were very high up there on the amount of money that went back into the foundation.
Yes, definitely. So, we're very transparent. That's one of the things. Donors are becoming a lot more educated now. They're aware of what they need to do as far as where they need to go to find out about organizations. So our ratings are high. We can definitely continue to improve and get better. And, we're very happy with the direction that we've been going over the years. So strategically just looking at how we can continue to improve the foundation.
Well, let's get into some of the details, because I think what I would like to know about, and I'm sure people watching this would want to understand more, is give us some examples of how, because you're operated on a golf course, how you might use that as part of the classroom.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a few things that we do that make us very unique, and the school system kind of described it best in the fact that it's a very nurturing program. And so what we do are a couple parts of our mission. We take time out of our schedule, of our daily schedule, to work with the kids. So different people within the foundation, different department heads, different roles that people work there, we'll show the kids what we do on a daily basis. So we'll take 2 or 3 students and they'll go work in the pro shop. They'll go work with our superintendent out on the golf course. They'll go work with the team in the cart barn, our accounting department, our development department. So they really learn.
There's math, there's chemistry.
Hands-on activities, different career paths that they may want to choose to go into.
That sounds so amazing, because I can tell you some of the most valuable experiences I had growing up were when my grandfather would call one of his buddies who might, own a cookie baking company or some construction company or something, and he would say, "Hey, let's go take a tour of the factory."
Mm-hmm.
And we just pull off. He'd find out what I was doing that day, and he'd come pick me up, and we just go over there, and there I was, just in the back of this business, walking through with my grandfather, and he was pointing out different things that might be important or crucial to the business, and getting a tour, and then that'd be it. And I was just like, man, this is so cool. But a lot of kids don't get that kind of experience at all.
No, I remember when I was a kid in high school in England, we had a work experience program, but it was 1 week. So you imagine that you're a teenager trying to figure out what you want to do and where you want to go, and you're trying to align yourself with something, and it's a week. It's nothing that you can really learn in a week, obviously. So with our environment, they get to work with multiple different departments and really kind of learn more about what it takes out in the real world.
Well, I remember I had a word problem one time in 7th grade, and it was, you've got these 3 bags of fertilizer, and each bag can fertilize 2 acres. How many acres can you fertilize with 3 bags of fertilizer? And your kids are getting an actual hands-on experience.
Yeah, they're out there. Finally, before we have a big fundraiser in November, actually on the golf course, and a couple of weeks before, we actually all go out and we fill divots. So it's really cool to see a whole class kind of walking down a fairway, filling divots and helping the course, get ready for the golf tournament.
Are there any special events that you have in addition to that? Like, is there anything for Earth Day or?
Yes. So actually, a great point. We are coming up to Earth Day this month, and so our superintendent has got multiple different projects that they'll outline throughout the day, and it's really neat. So we bring some outside vendors and partners in to cover different topics. One of them is we have a nature bird box program. So we have bird boxes all out on the golf course, and we'll go and open the bird boxes, and Brian from Nature Bird Boxes will tell the kids what birds are in the boxes, and how long they typically nest for and where they come from. And so it's a real educational piece. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
The kids who are in your school, I can't imagine they'd ever want to leave.
Right.
But there's probably a process of having them come in and be matriculated back into the system.
Yeah, there's an interview process to come into the school. It's a voluntary program. So we work with the school system guidance counselors, identify students that we think would be a right fit for the environment. So we're looking for kids that need a little bit of extra attention, a little bit of help with their, getting into a routine, and so, that's key, that they want to come and learn to the environment as well, but just get that extra little bit of help and nurturing. And then if we help them get back on track and they're doing well, if they want to go back to their zoned assigned school, they obviously can do. But as long as they stay in Pinellas County, we can track them through the school system, and we'll see their grades and see how they're doing, and we'll be there for them for help and support. Even once they leave the foundation, they're always available to come back. There's actually an amazing story that from a couple months ago, I was volunteering at an event in Safety Harbor, and it was a special event, so outside volunteers were helping cover different shifts. And one of them was I have a partnership with Habitat for Humanity too. I'm very fond of the work that they do. And so I was with some volunteers that were working with Habitat on the day. And one of the ladies there, she lit up when she found out that I worked at Chi-Chi's, because she went there as a student. And she said, wow, it was an amazing program. And once a Chi-Chi kid, always a Chi-Chi kid.
And there she was.
Immediately just that just came straight out, and her face just lit up, So.
Well, I think it's a great testament too, because there she was being involved with Habitat for Humanity as an adult.
Yeah, as an adult, and hopefully she'll be getting a house. And when the time comes for her dedication, I want to make sure that we do something special from the Chi-Chi Foundation as well for that.
That'd be great. Maybe we can put a little putting green out there or something.
Yeah, right. That'd be cool. Yeah.
So what is next for the organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. Continuing to tell a story. I think what's next for us is to look at our physical campus, potentially evaluate how we can look at getting more students involved or engaged, and how we can continue to have a bigger impact in Pinellas County.
One of the things I really liked about what I saw on your website and on your social media is that it looks like you have a points program where kids can earn points based off of their performance or behavior to go and then cash those points in.
Yeah, Chi-Chi dollars. And so we have a general store that was actually the brainchild of our academy director right now, Josh Muir. He's in charge of the foundation, the academy, the school. And he was our math and science middle school teacher for 10 years. And so he's transitioned to work for the foundation now. And he created this program where the kids actually get $30 a day that they, in Chi-Chi dollars that they earn. And so at the end of every 2 weeks, they get to go shop in the general store. And it's pretty cool to see around the holidays, they'll buy gifts for their siblings, their parents. We do like a wrapping,
so cool.
A holiday wrapping program. Obviously we just kind of wrapped up Easter. The Friday before Easter, we had a big sale with the store, and they had Easter baskets and all kinds of different things for the kids. So they really look forward to it, and it really just encourages the correct behavior going forward. So very rewarding, very nurturing environment for the kids.
I think every school ought to have that. Just like what you're showing the kids with how, here's these careers that revolve around how a golf course operates, how a foundation operates. And it really would help me as a student going, when am I ever going to use algebra? When am I ever going to use this information that I'm learning, right?
Yeah.
But to actually also tie it back into, like, here's your regular day at work or day at school, and based off how you do, you can cash that in for rewards. It seems like that's almost common sense.
Yep, common sense, and it makes them a more well-rounded person as well. Funnily, you mentioned that about, I don't know where I'm going to apply that. I was talking to a student last week. He felt the same way, but I kind of just tried to help him think about, the more that you learn, the more you could apply in a different situation down the road. So just go through the path, continue the path with it.
Are there any success stories that stick out to you in particular? You've been there for a while. Is there anybody that you've seen go all the way through the program and really turn their life around?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's many success stories, and it's not necessarily through the game of golf, right? So we've had people that have gone on to continue to be successful business people and then engage with the foundation to help tell the story and support and raise money. So that really makes a big difference too. We've had several people that actually come back and help out and sit on committees and sit on groups that help plan events and raise money for the foundation. So,
is there any story that sticks out to you?
I think Jeremy Robinson is one of our, successful stories. Right now he's a general manager for a hotel chain, and they run multiple different hotel chains. And he's got a couple kids and lives in the area and gives back and engages and really works hard on telling the Chi-Chi story out in the community for us.
And there's a tie there because hotels are hospitality, and so is golf.
Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing that the game of golf can do, is it can really highlight and amplify people's disposition and their attitude and their behavior. God knows when I'm playing golf, or a lot of people I hang out with, just learning to deal with adversity, learning how to buy 12 packs of, a 12 pack of balls before you play, because you're going to lose all those balls. I think just incorporating the game into our brains as we're developing early on is really a smart thing to do. I'm really glad that you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a great vehicle, like I say, and you can tell a lot about somebody playing golf with them.
Oh, a ton. That's why so much business gets done on the golf course.
Business is still done on the golf course. It's a great way to kind of softly interview somebody, maybe, potentially. See how they react, see if they're honest, or see how they deal with their anger, see how they deal with adversity. So, definitely it's an interesting sport as far as that goes. And it's a great handicapping system, is a great, leveler as far as, and anybody can play each other straight up pretty much.
That's right. So. My favorite is the scramble.
Yes.
Where you can make numerous mistakes and still support your team.
And we host a lot of golf tournaments too. So we partner with other nonprofits in the area, and it's a great idea to host an event at Chi-Chi's because it's a foundation helping another organization out too. So scrambles are fun.
Yeah. You've got a European accent. Any relation to James Poulter?
No, not directly. Met him a couple times. Obviously, same last name. So he lives in Orlando. Met him a couple times at Bay Hill. He's a little bit more flashier than I am. You know, his cars go a little bit faster than my cars. His house is a little bit bigger, but you know, he's great for the game. You know, obviously the Ryder Cup is a big part of who he is as a person and as a European. So, you know, he loves living in the States, and I do too. It's a great area.
Well, thank you for coming in. Where can people follow in the foundation, and where can they learn more about it or how to get involved at your next events?
Yep. So we're out there on social media. We've got different handles that are out there. We do have a YouTube channel. We've got our website, which is just simply chichi.org. On there,
it's easy to remember.
You'll find some information on how to get involved. I think one of the best ways to learn more about the foundation is attend one of our lunch and learns. So the second Wednesday of every month at noon on our campus at the golf club, we'll give you a campus tour, provide you lunch, show you a little bit of history, tell you a little bit of the story about the foundation, learn a little bit more about you, and then find out, how you want to get involved down the road. So that I would say, volunteers and support, we're looking for people that want to give time, talent, or treasure, right? So that's how you get involved with foundations. Giving up your time, have a specific talent that you can offer, or treasure, obviously, being financial support as well.
And that is what timing? The second Wednesday?
It's the second Wednesday of every month, and it's at noon.
The foundation.
At the foundation, yeah.
That's phenomenal. So we'll check that out. And then you personally, are you putting anything out there? Where can people learn about your leadership and what you're doing in the nonprofit world?
Yeah, so I'm involved in different groups within the community. I'm a member of the Copperhead Charities, which is the nonprofit organization that helps run the Valspar Championship. So I'm out there all tournament week, volunteering my time as well, and helping promote the event. I also sit on a couple different chamber boards. I'm on the board for the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce and the Safety Harbor Chamber, two great chambers in North Pinellas County. And then I get involved in Tampa too, in regards to sitting on the committee that helps put on the Gasparilla Bowl.
Right.
So that was a big event this year at Raymond James. We had a sellout crowd. And so I think I like seeing other people do well, and I like kind of connecting the dots. So that's one of the things. Relationships are important for me too. Get out
James,
there and network.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Otis, thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure learning more about the foundation. I'm definitely going to come to one of your lunch and learns.
Yeah.
And you can follow us anywhere where podcasts are published at thelawofrelevancy.com, on Bake More Pie's social media. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.